And his farm, this is like a coming back to the paradise. I recommend you guys going online, looking Sepp Holzer, S-E-P-P Holzer, H-O-L-Z-E-R, just to sort of give you an idea. Sepp, S-E-P-P, Holzer, H-O-L-Z-E-R. Okay. Amazing video. I mean, I'll leave you, in your own time, to do a little research. Or any question, you can ask me now. You can come back later on an email address that we can later on pass on and sort of get anything straight. I'm not sure about it. Okay, let's move on a little bit further. What it says here is every function of the living farm or even the tree, as we recognize by example of the tree, are supported by many elements. So we know that the bees are pollinating fruits. We know that bird is actually spreading that seed around. We know that the rabbit or other wildlife is actually, or even farm animals, are actually giving food to the whole, flora. All the plant life by enhancing soil. We know that tree is feeding itself by mulching and composting. It's actually topsoil gets built, so all the sort of energy and minerals are actually penetrating the topsoil. So when you look at the single tree and when you look at the farm, the same principle apply. The farm, in a classic industrial sense, it seemed to be very sort of bare landscape. All of you seen miles and miles of lines and industrial machinery being driven, and also in the last couple of years we have that great alertness about GM crop and everything that people do in order to generate cash income and a kind of to commercially commercial farm practice. And would you agree that in most of the cases commercial farming is like a house and a couple of sort of objects next to it, and then land, miles of sort of monoculture? Monoculture is a great risk. Where is Venetian? Okay. When we were in 1920s, there was a food, a great disaster in Ireland, potato famine, when thousands and thousands of people died from hunger in Ireland in 1920s. It's called potato famine. Potato.
Very.
Say again?
Say about very.
Yes, in 1920s there was that food famine, potato famine. Apparently all agriculture was based on potatoes, even as early as 1920s. And then because of natural, there was imbalance in the system and there were no yield. There were pests, all potato crop got destroyed, and unfortunately people had no food. Lots of people died, lots of people emigrated to the United States, some of them to England, Europe, the reason for that is monocrop, is one particular crop. So when you see the fields with one culture, it's a great risk. Let's say there is a pest who just love that crop, and they come in the big numbers and eat everything. At the same time, we find by diversifying production, by having many different variety and having a great biodiversity of food, that risk is reduced. We also find for the farmer that, especially in Serbia, when they have tons of, let's say sunflower seeds, the government put a price that is unfavorable. Once they calculate the cost of production of everything that they put, that input into the farm, cost of the fuel, cost of the time, machinery, you know, I mean, every machine sort of have a time limit, so amortization sort of for the machine to wear off. When we calculate the cost of the seeds, when we calculate the cost of the time, when we calculate the effort of the community that is involved, when we calculate the cost of the let's say fertilizer that they use, you know, this is all bringing cost into it. But then if that cost is equal or more than the price that the government gives for the market economy sort of reasons, we find that lots of farmers go bankrupt. And behind all that is mentality of monocrop, and is mentality of the farmer that goes into sort of calculating mindset. I have that much land, multiply that much seed per square, let's say meter or hectare of land, times the price that the government promised, equal that much money. And then they start, you know, looking at chasing that big number at the end. But risk is great, the waste is great. At the end of the day, there is no guarantee that they're going to make money. Plus, ecological impact is great. There is a video, particular video that I can send you sort of a link on by email or whatever on a Facebook that is actually showing English farm in 70s and showing the same farm now. What's happening is that there is a tractor being driven across the field plowing, and behind the tractors hundreds and hundreds of birds eating the worms, and you know, sort of all of them going behind the tractor trying to get these worms and all kinds of sort of food, you know, that is just behind. Yeah, that's mid-70s, 1975. Yeah, then the producer of that movie showed the same farm now. The tractor being driven, and behind tractor there is nothing, because the land, the soil has been sort of drained out of life, and it has been drained out of their own fertility, being kind of artificially kept productive. So putting that ecological disaster, putting high risk of production, putting all this sort of dependency on the commercial aspect of oil and so on, we now recognize that no more. Is the process now bringing that other aspect of organic farming and biodiverse farming into practice by involving in many different ways, by involving academics like that we expected, Marko Ikulic, who meant to be here, who is great academic, but also loved the nature, and it was is one of the guys who is also doing introduction to permaculture. Hopefully we are probably going to find the video online, you know, and a little bit on his work. So obvious example how now academics, you know, getting into permaculture, into that aspect of natural farm. And we find that in a permaculture way that is done by design, that involves all the elements, analyzing the elements of the nature. Where is the east? Where is the west? What are the local winds? For example, we are between two valleys. We have a northern wind blowing towards the south over the last couple of days. We know that the sun is here at 8 o'clock. That is just around 5:30 going behind the hill. So we have a shorter period of time because we are in a valley between two hills. And permaculture take all these sort of elements into consideration before moving into design. And now that design would have an aspect of biodiversity. It would be sort of built mimicking the nature. It would have 7 layers in it. One part of it is zoning, but we are going to actually move on a little bit further. It would have a place for fun, for rest, for place that everybody could go, chill out. It would sort of respect the natural aspect, but it would have a sort of all different kinds of production. So we can grow all different kinds of vegetables and fruit trees, and we would find that plants are in nature developing symbiotic relationship. So, for example, if you plant salads and in between you plant some kind of herbs, you'll find that those herbs will repel insects. We, in particular, later on I can show you some tables that are showing these lists, what goes with what, but it's a little bit more specific. Let's keep the broad picture. Any question on this? Yes.
It seems to me that permaculture, let's say from an agricultural point of view, would entail, let's say, a farmer or a person on a subsistence level who just plants in his backyard or lawn, wherever, would have to have a distinct knowledge of the environment and probably soil processes and etc. etc. How feasible is that? Let's say a common man in a village, he would have to get proper training to get to that level, to not endanger the environment and the land that he's farming and the surrounding areas. So, what are how do you call people who are in permaculture? Permaculturists? I don't know.
Yes, permaculturists.
Okay, let's use that for now. What are they doing?
Permaculture is about design. It's about creating that food sustainable. I'm going to go back to that sort of definition. Permaculture is methodology of learning design from nature and designing in a natural way. So by gathering that experience with nature, it's then moving into process of design. We are going to go a little bit into design on the next sort of panel. And it's such an excellent question because within permaculture community, there is a permaculture course. It's called PDC, permaculture course. It lasts 72 hours. I done a permaculture course back in 2009. It was a great experience. It changed my life. It kind of gave me a set of tools that I can sort of, or if you like, lenses. So when I look particular landscape, apart from analyzing sort of natural elements, there is other sort of, let's say, tools or to give you more focus, to sort of give you another aspect. So I genuinely recommend everybody to do permaculture course. Some people obviously get more excited about it because they would love to move in a countryside and live in a self-sustainable way, free from bills, free from worries, wake up in the morning, have an egg from the chicken, or maybe today we are going to have an egg from the duck, or maybe from the geese or turkey, you know, enjoy that abundance of food.
Well, let's say from a realistic level, from a realistic point of view, let's say, I would say that a lot of people get into farming or subsistence farming. For a lot of them it's out of necessity.
Yes.
Yes. How by the time they start to actually do some level of farming, to the point where they get to a subsistent level of farming, the damage could be done already, you understand? For them to acquire all the energy
in order
they
to
need.
recover. How long it takes? It takes year and a half. That a normal farm to sort of get, not only by design, you know, to actually get planted. With obviously for the fruit trees it's more difficult, you know, the time-wise, because their cycle is longer. So in order for the fruit tree to grow, nevertheless we're finding already fruit orchards that already exist, then it's much easier. Then it could be year and a half. The main aspect is composting, actually getting that sort of circulation of energy, circulating of biomass. When you say more realistic, my point is that this is the only reality, because it's based on nature, that is reality. And we have a destructed reality in industrial farming, and we have a farmer that's been part of the process in Serbia in particular after Second World War by sort of certain agricultural practices, joining land and sort of doing industrial farming, or people who in particular specialize just into sort of, let's say, growing sheep or goats on sort of that aspects. But we actually could do everything. We don't have to just specially look after goats. We could have fruit trees, I'm actually surprised that I don't find too many fruit trees in such a beautiful place. I, for example, didn't see the cabbage around. I see potatoes and beans, runner beans, and a few other different varieties, but I didn't see, you know, as many varieties. Why is that? Maybe we should bring organic seeds and start it, you know, on a local level and see, you know, that process from the seed into the plant and going back into the seed. Is that answer? Okay. I suggest the break.
Yeah, it's just the reality. It seems to me this has a lot to do with the country.
Louder, please.
Sorry.
No, I had to go back to.
It seems to me that the reality thing has a lot to do with the country where the farm is situated,
Yes.
etc., etc.
Yes.
Is there any country where permaculture is more developed than in other places? And maybe we can take a look at some good examples
Yes,
and see how it's...
Let me, since you mentioned particular geographic location, let me just make it straight that permaculture is dealing with mesothermic climate, that is a continental climate. So their strategy is to do. I specialize continental mesothermic climate. There are other people in Australia that specialize in arid climate, that is dry. And we've seen the examples that even they managed to regenerate the desert in Jordan. Also there is a tropical climate in South America when it's easy, you know, because there is no winter. All the time there is something growing, you know. So, and we also find, especially now with Russia, and that there is sort of pioneering efforts dealing with the cold climate. In perennial fruits, so certain sort of varieties of plants that once they're planted, like nut trees, you know, all kinds of nuts, you know, that they will produce yield year after year after year. So in particular, obviously I would like to point towards Australia because they started 30 years ago, but in the same time we are finding that in South America in a very short period of time everybody doing it, you know, because it answers on immediate necessity issues, food, energy and housing and community aspects. And we know how people in South America are very sort of people friendly, and all their culture is about people friendly, so permaculture fits into it. So on the long run I'm looking into that sort of development in Australia over the last 30 years. On the short run, and a great achievement, I'm looking at South American countries, but the point of intellectual and sort of academic sort of gathering of knowledge, then I'm looking into more into Europe, especially in terms of now that we have at least 10 universities dealing with permaculture. Yes. Obviously those links are there, we can all share it. I'm in particular going to send you from European countries, and in particular I would like to send you a link, and you can find actually in Permaculture Association of UK published material on all universities that they're actually getting involved now. And it started all from people who attended the Introduction to Permaculture course now, like we are doing, and obviously some academics just sort of realize that what they do fits into that sort of aspect of organic farming and sustainability, and the seed of permaculture spread further. Friends, I suggest the break now.
Yeah, it's 11:25, see you here at 22.
11:25?
Yeah.
What time do you start?
25. We're gonna start at 22:12.
22:12.